ไทยทิกเก็ตเมเจอร์ทุกสาขาและ www.bric-ticket.com บุรีรัมย์เฟสติวัลออฟสปีดเทศกาลมอเตอร์สปอร์ตที่จะทำให้คุณได้สนุกไปกับกิจกรรมกินช็อปชมนั่งดื่มสุดชิลไปกับเบียร์ปาร์คขนาดใหญ่พร้อมอิ่มอร่อยกับอาหารรสเลิศกว่า 20 ร้านดังของเมืองบุรีรัมย์ช็อปกันสุดเพลินกับอุปกรณ์ตกแต่งและอ็อกเซสซอรี่แบรนด์ดังจากค่ายมอเตอร์ไซค์และรถยนต์ชั้นนำพร้อมชมการออกบูธมินิมอเตอร์โชว์ของค่ายรถชั้นแนวหน้าชมมินิคอนเสิร์ต Day The Voice
ถ้าหากเธอคิดว่าฉันยังไม่ดีไม่สมศักดิ์ศรี
และวงโซกูดทุกวัน 23-25 ตุลาคมนี้ตั้งแต่บ่ายโมงเป็นต้นไปที่ด้านหน้าสนามไอโมบายสเตเดียมเติมเต็มให้ครบทุกอารมณ์กับบุรีรัมย์เฟสติวัลออฟสปีด 23-25 ตุลาคมนี้อย่าพลาด
And I know she'll be the death of me, at least we'll both be numb. And she'll always get the best of me, the worst is yet to come. But at least we'll both be beautiful and stay forever young. This I know, this I know. She told me don't worry about it. She told me don't worry no more. We both know we can't go without it. She told me you'll never be alone. I can feel my face when I'm with you, but I love it, but I love it. I can feel my face when I'm with you, but I love it, but I love it. And I know she'll be the death of me, at least we'll both be numb. And she'll always get the best of me, the worst is yet to come. All the misery was necessary when we're deep in love. Yes, I know, yes, I know, girl, I know. She told me don't worry about it. She told me don't worry no more. We both know we can't go without it. She told me you'll never be alone. I can feel my face when I'm with you, but I love it, but I love it. I can feel my face when I'm with you, but I love it, but I love it. I can feel my face when I'm with you, but I love it, but I love it, but I love it, but I love it. I can feel my face when I'm with you, but I love it, but I love it, but I love it. She told me don't worry about it. She told me don't worry no more. We both know we can't go without it. She told me you'll never be alone. I can feel my face when I'm with you. But I love it, but I love it, but I love it. Oh, I love it. I can feel my face when I'm with you. I can feel my face, but I love it, but I love it, but I love it. I can feel my face when I'm with you, but I love it, but I love it. I can feel my face when I'm with you, but I love it, but I love it.
Yes, I am. I think I'm live by the look of that red light. I can hear you. Can you hear me? Okay, volume. So you just want me to call. Here we are at, where are we now? Buriram International Circuit in Thailand for the final round of the TCR Asia Series, which is actually the GT Asia Series. That's all right? Okay. All right. How long till you want me? I'm not going anywhere. I just want to get my notes ready. Okay. All right. Yeah, because he's paid by Jerry. He knows where we are? Okay. Okay. All right. That's fine. Now, if I need to talk to you, and we're not on, all right, so I'm back on now. All right. That's all you need. So, what, come back in 5, 10? Okay. And how long till you need me? What? So that makes it, what, 10 past 1? That's still broadcast time. Okay. And then first thing that comes on is what? The video? Yep. So I don't need to say anything. Yes? Okay, so then we get straight into qualifying. Okay. And that's about 10 minutes, you said. And they're back to back. There's no break in the middle or anything. So you go to grid, and then I can talk about the grid and the points and... Yeah. Okay, thank you. Ciao. Bye. Here we are at Buriram International Circuit in Thailand for the very first time for the GT Asia Series, and this is the final round of the season. There's a title fight on the line. 3 teams, 14 points, and a lot to play for this weekend. There's a lot of pressure, certainly on that young man, Daniel Lloyd. There's new teams in here this weekend, some of which we know, some of which we haven't. And there's some dark horses, and there's one on screen now. But for the Craft Bamboo Racing team, they lead the championship by 4 points. The Bentley team, 3 cars in the top 8 this weekend. They will be doing everything they can to support Kita Soa and Adelie Fong. The Ferraris haven't quite had the pace this weekend. That's the local team. Todd Pitty on screen, joined by Carlo Van Dam. But it is Anthony Liu and Davide Rizzo who are the ones in the title chase. They've got a lot of work ahead of them this weekend, but we'll see how all of this will unfold. 2 60-minute races, one on Saturday afternoon, one on Sunday afternoon. Settle in and join us. It's going to be an amazing race, the final round here at Buriram in Thailand.
Coming back the first year for the first time ever in the full championship, to be able to win the title would be great, not just for me but also for the whole team. The team has worked really hard in this championship for a lot of years and come so close to the championship so many times, so of course it would be ideal if we can close out the championship this race. So it would mean a lot to me and myself, and also the team, and also to our sponsors VLT.
Yes, everyone knows this weekend is so important for us. We are now standing P2, the 4-point difference. 4 point mean almost the same as a nothing.
Been thinking about it since last week, really. Been doing calculations in my head about points, about where we need to finish, and what could play out this weekend.
As you see, I think in every race it's quite difficult to predict how it's going. So at the end, we decide to, just push to get the best we can.
Well, it's interesting. The last race of the season that still 3 cars, I think, can win the championship. So of course it's very close. But honestly, I missed the Shanghai race, and now I really would like to bring back the team to the top.
Tough, yeah. The competition now is in GT Asia is quite impressive. We are fighting very hard with Kraft, with Clearwater, with FFF, with all the teams on the grid, with BBT, which are also impressive as opponents. So everybody is really doing a great job. Everybody is fighting very hard.
Don't feel too much pressure at all. Just really focused on avoiding mistakes this weekend. I think that's what we did in Shanghai, and it really worked into our favor. We just kind of tried to stay out as much trouble as we could, and then we fought hard and got the wins.
We have 2 races more for this weekend. And also we did practice today. I feel the car Bentley has a good match with this Buriram circuit, long straight and the high speed corner. It's a very good for the circuit, good matching.
It's definitely good to be on top for today. Hopefully we can keep the momentum going, and hopefully it should be a good weekend.
I think we did quite a good job in the last few days, and then I think we'll be quite good.
I think we have a quite good speed, and we have very good potential. And if everything goes smooth, I hope we can be on the podium, at least on the podium again.
You've heard from some of the leading drivers in this championship. We are 9 rounds down. There are 2 rounds left. Buriram International Circuit, the very first time the region's leading GT series has come to Thailand, and it will play out the final round. Weather's beautiful here. It's been fantastic. The pace during practice has been incredible. But of course, practice leads into qualifying. Qualifying leads into the 2 races, and we've seen some very spirited competition. So qualifying really was a great setup, and it just carried on the performances that we have seen. So if we go back to how it started earlier this morning, 2 15-minute sessions. The Triple F racing team by ACM McLarens were first out. They wanted clean circuit in front of them. Unfortunately, a TCR race immediately before, a TCR session immediately before, it left oil on the circuit, so they had to tippy-toe around. They felt, certainly Andrea Caldarelli, that they'd lost a little bit of time as a result of that. Soa and Fong. Kita Soa was in the first session. Natalie Fong, of course, would start session number 2, and he did a good job. Carlo Van Dam and Piti Buriram, the local driver, had a little bit of drama. And Duncan Tappy just sat and waited his time. Alvaro Parente, he was very quick early on. The factory driver for McLaren, a big part of the development of this very car. He's been with us since Shanghai, and he did a very good job in the car he is sharing with Hiroshi Hamaguchi. Kita Soa really set the early pace. He got the clock stopped at a time that really did put the cat amongst the pigeons. That forced the other teams to really dig deep. And you see there early on was Caldarelli that set the pace with a 1:32.8. Certainly anything below 1:33 was going to be a quick lap. Soa-san pushed very, very hard, and he managed to get himself a little bit further forward, but then the attack started. That's Davide Rizzo in the BBT Ferrari. This car is just 16 points off the championship lead. We still have 36 points left on offer here this weekend, and anything can still happen. They were very quick. They were here testing just a week ago, so they've got a lot of miles on this circuit under their belts. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Now, here's a driver we haven't seen in the GT Asia Series, Thomas Enger, the former Czech F1 driver. He drives, of course, for the Reiter Engineering Vitana operation, the Lamborghini Gallardo Rex. And Thomas Enger had been quick all weekend. We expected him to end this session at the top of the timesheets. He pushed, and he pushed very hard. But he wasn't going to be the man to take pole position in the opening session. That would come down to the title contending teams. But it was nice to see that gorgeous Vitana Lamborghini circulating at the front of the field. The number 1 Ferrari got caught up a little bit with one of the GTM cars. In fact, the car just on screen, the number 69 GTM class Ferrari, cost him a lap, but he came back fighting. Matt Griffin in the car alongside reigning champion Mok Weng Sun. Now there's the number 99 car. That is the car that is leading in this championship. Of course, that is Daryl O'Young. He has a 4-point lead, and he was doing everything he could in that VLT car to get himself some clean air and go after a qualifying time. You see him behind Dylan Dodali, who is the 2-time and reigning Belgian GT champion, immediately in front of him. That is Anthony Liu preparing for his session. He would be out in session number 2. Oh, and there's contact, of course. We saw that happen. We couldn't believe it. This is a replay for me included. That was very dramatic because that is the points leader. The wheels just come off. You see contact as Dodali's turned in. Now, whether he was unsighted as the Craft Bamboo Aston Martin went up the inside, but that was certainly contact. Now, that forced Daryl O'Young towards the rear of the timesheets. The big problem, of course, with a 10-minute turnaround to get the car back into the pit so that young Daniel Lloyd could go out for the second session. That was always going to be the great concern. The times really started to drop towards the end of the session, and it really got fiery. At the end, it was Duncan Tappy who put in an absolute blinder. The Englishman, former M Sport factory Bentley driver, because he's been in GT Asia this year with Jackie Jung. He has young Ben Simonson alongside him. Young Benny has joined him for this weekend. But Duncan Tappy at the end of it, a 1:32.4, very impressive lap time. Caldarelli dropped a P2 with a 1:32.6, and Thomas Enger still on the pace, a 1:32.61. So that is only 17/100 separating the top 3. In fact, if you go down the order, the top 11 cars, which is down to, very happy Duncan Tappy, down to Davide Rizzo, separated by just a second. Very competitive field. Then it was on to qualifying session number 2. We're talking about the reigning champion, Mok Weng Sun, the number 1 Clearwater Racing Ferrari, the all-chrome car. They have not had a win this year, been terribly unlucky. Neither have Richard Lyons and Frank Yu. Frank Yu, of course, in the Interrush, the light blue Aston Martin just there behind Anthony Liu, who is in that gorgeous red and yellow Ferrari 458. These guys are right in the championship hunt. They've got a little bit of work to do. The Ferrari hasn't been quite as quick as we have seen during the opening rounds of this championship. So they've had to work extra hard. In fact, at the end of practice, they were positions 9 through 13, which has been very unusual for the Maranello product so far this year in the GT Asia Series. Despite that, Anthony Liu, very talented driver. We saw him win 4 rounds of the championship in his debut year last year. He pushed very hard. Now this is the Singer Ferrari 458 Challenge car, one of the local cars. It should be Velvet Buriram behind the wheel in his session. as that is Alvaro Parente watching Hiroshi Hamaguchi charge around the circuit. And Hamaguchi set a very, very quick time early in the session. We were very surprised to see just how big a lead he had. At one point he was well over a second up on the rest of the field. But then the rest of the field started to charge. We hadn't seen much of Adley Fong earlier in the session, but he came out mid-session and started to put together a sequence of very quick laps, and that really dropped the pace to a point where the other drivers had to step up and push just that little bit harder. Plenty of tyres this weekend to control. Michelin S9L tyre, 10 tyres, so essentially you have from the beginning qualifying up until the end of the second race enough tyres to do the job. We've seen that this year, so the tyre's not going to be a big issue, but certainly they don't want to push too hard and get themselves involved in any kind of incident during a qualifying session, because especially with 2 60-minute races ahead and a championship on the line, it's important to get good track position but avoid any kind of contact. Unfortunately for Darryl O'Young, the championship points leader, a rear field start from the opening race only highlighted just how important it is to get the right mix of pace and safety in a qualifying session. It's the two Bentleys on screen. Jeffrey Lee in the front Bentley, and that's young Benny Simonson, brother of the late Alan Simonson. Has been very competitive in Europe this year. Was brought across this weekend after, unfortunately, Jackie Young had to step out again. That is Richard Wee, as we see Atira Dupong, who is the co-driver with Thomas Enger this weekend. He's done a lot of miles around here, more so in production and touring cars than GT. This is his first effort in the GT car, but as you see on screen, position number 5, so he's pushing hard. But there it is, a 1:32.563 from Adley Fong. It's the car on screen, the number 8, iWorks Bentley Continental GT3, and as they have done this year, a very impressive time, and that really did raise the bar. 0.6 of a second in the end over young Daniel Lloyd. Now, we haven't seen Daniel Lloyd. What you're not aware of is the Craft Bamboo team are working feverishly in pit lane. 6 minutes before the session started, the car arrived on the back of the recovery vehicle. It had a minor onboard fire because of the heat build-up in the car whilst it was being transported back to the pits. Didn't do an awful lot of damage, but they had to work on the rear wheel of the number 99 VLT Craft Bamboo Aston Martin, and they got the car out just towards the end of the session. And that really applied the blowtorch to young Daniel Lloyd. He's fully aware that he's both his future on the line and the championship aspirations of his co-driver Darryl O'Young in his hands. And as he has done so many times over the last couple of rounds, he's raised himself to a level that's well and truly equivalent of the leading GT drivers in this series, and really pushed hard and got one flying lap out of the car and managed to drag the number 99 Craft Bamboo VLT Aston Martin Vantage onto the front row, which was a staggering result considering the condition of the car after the first session. Piti Birimbakti, a local driver. You can see there's Daniel Lloyd on screen now. He had one lap to pull out a time to get himself a position. As he said afterwards, I had to negotiate a couple of GTM cars. I didn't quite get the lap I really wanted, but it was good, and it was good enough for P2. 1:33.106, 0.6 of a second off the time, which was pretty blistering by Adley Fong. In fact, only a 10th or so slower than the pole time set in session 1 by teammate Duncan Tappy. So a good result, and this keeps the championship hopes of Darryl O'Young well and truly alive. Perfect lap for Daniel Lloyd. Again, the young Englishman from Huddersfield has done himself proud and come up with a great result. So congratulations from the team, smiles, and see team boss Frank Yu there. He'll be very happy with that. He'll also be looking for some level of recovery this weekend after what has been a fairly torrid year for a driver who has been in the championship race up until the final round over the last few seasons of the GT Asia Series. So very happy Adley Fong, yes, position number 1. As we rejoin you live, you see from the grid there's a little bit of cloud around. Temperatures in the low 30s. Humidity's not too bad today. It's been fairly consistent right across the weekend. It has been interesting though. This is the first time we've ever been to the 4.5 kilometre Buriram International Circuit in Thailand, about 400 kilometres to the east of the capital, Bangkok. And this new circuit's been in operation for around 12 months. The Thailand Super Series, a a fairly major championship in Thailand, has been here 3 times. The Japanese Super GT Championship has also competed here. Their drivers have pointed out that there you can see on screen exactly where the Chang International Circuit is, and drivers have commented that the smooth surface has perhaps not put down the level of wear that we've come to expect from some of the other rounds on some of the older circuits. Fuji, for instance, is a circuit with a 50-year history. So nothing like that here at Buriram, different conditions, and certainly this has set up an interesting end to the 2015 championship. As we said, there's 9 rounds down. There is the number 1 car, 3-time champion in this series, 50-time race winner, Mok Weng Sun. Sorry, 20-time race winner, Mok Weng Sun. He's good, probably not 50 races, but he's certainly competed in near 60 races in his career with the GT Asia Series, certainly in the 6 years since its inception. One of his big rivals, Frank Yu, in the number 88 Interrail Aston Martin. They had a bit of a mixed session. Richard Lyons, very, very talented driver in Asia, regarded as one of the best GT drivers in the region. As much for his pace as his feedback on a technical level with the setup of these cars. He's done a lot of international racing, but certainly a lot in Asia. He has a lot of experience here too. He's like Andrea Caldarelli, who's in the number 5 Triple F racing team by ACM McLaren. He was here in June for the Super GT race. Different cars. Lyons was racing in the GT 300 category, which is essentially made up of cars very similar to these, GT3 cars, whilst Caldarelli was driving in the outright GT 500 class in one of the Super GT prototypes. Lots of beautiful colour here at Thailand, something we've come to expect from this part of the world. But that won't be on Kitasawa's mind right now. Sawa-san is in a position to win his first ever GT Asia Series, regarded as perhaps the best Asian GT driver in this part of the world. Driven in a variety of vehicles, and in fact was a part of the team that assisted Mok Weng Sun to the 2014 GT Asia Series title. In fact, he drove alongside the Malaysian driver for the Singaporean driver for much of the championship. And Weng Sun went on to take the victory in the take the championship in the final round at Macau. Of course, the final round was in fact won by his title rival Anthony Liu, who starts a little bit further in the field. There is Darryl O'Young, sadly towards the rear of this field. He has a lot of work to do. He was very disappointed, is probably the right word, after qualifying. He wasn't too emotional about it. He said, I've been in this sport a long time. I understand what this is about. This is not what we wanted. This does change some of our strategy. But the reality is, whether we start at the front or the rear, we want to get the maximum we can out of the team, out of the car, and out of our own personal performances. So he said, I have to do as good a job as I can do, which is no different to if I started from pole, and make sure that I am there to hand the car across to young Daniel Lloyd to do the job. And we've seen that young man has finished no worse than 3rd in the 4 races he's been a part of the team. And 3 races rather. He has been a very great addition to the Craft Bamboo team. In fact, the last 2 races that he has driven for the Hong Kong-based operation, he has finished on the top step of the podium. That is Max Visa, the Italian driver who drives alongside Young Zin, the car owner of the number 9 Spirit of Race Ferrari. Also operate under the NB team guys. He started the year as part of the McLaren operation, moved across to the Ferrari after Anthony Liu and Davide Rizzo had to step out of the car at Fuji and found the performance of the Ferrari more to their liking. So they stepped across from the British product to the Italian product and really put in a strong effort. In fact, finished on the podium in the 2nd race at Fuji earlier in the year. So the championship started all the way back in mid-May in South Korea, the opening round. Not too long after, we're at Okayama in Japan towards the end of June. 3 weeks later, we're at Fuji in Japan. And after that, we went to the first ever 3-hour endurance race. First time we've had an endurance event with the GT Asia Series in the 6 years of the series history. Prior to that, of course, it was the Asian GT Championship, the GT3 championship for the Asian region. So under the guise of GT Asia Series, first time in 6 years, we had a 3-hour endurance race, and that was won by Davide Rizzo and Anthony Liu. It brought them right back into the championship, given that it was a double point scoring event. After that, we went on to Shanghai, which is where we were just 3 weeks ago, so 4 weeks ago, for the penultimate round of the championship. And there, that's where Daniel Lloyd put in 2 fantastic stints, and I have to say Daryl O'Young drove the best we'd seen him drive all year in the second race to work his way through to a very comfortable victory, and they took back-to-back wins. What they also take as a result of having won the last round is an additional 12-second success penalty, parity penalty during their compulsory pit stop. Every car in this field between the 25-minute and 35-minute mark must make a compulsory stop. All but one of the cars in the field, that's Jerry Wang in the number 23 Audi that is currently on top of the points in the GTM class, will make a driver change. They can do it during that period, but 85-second minimum stop. If you exit pit lane before your 85 seconds is up, you will be given a drive-through penalty or a post-race equivalent penalty, which effectively negates your chances in this race. You need to be very careful you do not exit pit lane before your time is up. The winner of last round will incur, as we say, an additional 12-second penalty. Second place last time out, so the second place finisher, which was Anthony Liu and Davide Rizzo, they will incur an additional 9-second penalty. And the third place team, which is the car that is competing for the championship, so the top 3 drivers in this championship will incur additional pit stop time penalties. The third place car last time out at Shanghai, round 9 of the championship, was Adelie Fong and Kitasawa. They will start from the 3rd row for this all but last penultimate round of the 2015 championship. And there is a very lonely number 99 VLT Craft Bamboo Racing Aston Martin Vantage, all but rear of field. Dylan Dedali, the young Belgian GT driver, was given a 5-place grid position penalty as a result of that contact. Clearly, whenever there is an incident, there are 2 views on who is right and who is wrong, but stewards have adjudged that there would be a 5-position grid penalty to the young Belgian driver, so he will start rear of field. So that's 1 less car in this 22-car field that we will have for Daryl O'Young to have to face as he works his way through the field. Not long now before we get the roll around. Rolling start for GT3 competition pretty much all over the world. Some people still do a standing start. We see Thomas Enger in the Vitana Motorsport Lamborghini. Real character of the sport, former Formula One driver, loves this part of the world, has done a lot of racing for the Vitana team over the years. Of course, Vitana use the Reiter engineering product, and Thomas Enger is a big part of the Reiter engineering program worldwide. So he spends a lot of time out here driving in the Thai Super Series, and in fact leading the GT3 supercar class in that very car this year. Alternates between the Lamborghini and the Camaro. Haven't seen a Camaro in GT Asia yet. It's due to come at some point, we expect. It's the number 5 car, Andrea Caldarelli, one of the most talented drivers in this part of the world. Works his time between Super GT and Super Formula, of course the top-level open-wheel category in Japan. Very experienced driver with Formula One experience. In fact, there's as many as 7 drivers in this field that have either driven for, tested, or been a part of a development program with a Formula One team. So they certainly do have Formula One experience. Some of the best GT3 drivers in the world, and some of the best drivers in the Asian region, and certainly some of the gentleman drivers in this part of the world, the amateur drivers who we'll see take over after the compulsory pit stops. Some of those are pretty handy behind the wheel of a GT3 car too, and can certainly rattle the cage of some of the pros on their day. So engines are started, grid is clearing, as you can see. We'll have the race director give the start if he sees the cars are in formation for the rolling start. Once the light is given, This 60-minute race will be underway. Compulsory pit stop, between minute 25 and minute 35. Some teams may elect to change tyres. The difference, it's relatively negligible. Depends on the track temperature. Track temperatures just before the lunch break, about half an hour ago, were as high as 42 degrees. Ambient temperature was around 34. So we'll see how that may affect tyre wear. Certainly hasn't been a big issue this year. We've had some hot races, but it's not been too bad. So you see the grid. There is Soa, and he will start position number 7. Alex Imperatore this weekend alongside Jeffrey Lee will start from position 8. Benjamin Rouget for the Singer Motorsport team, position 14. Jerry Wang, who is the championship points leader in the GTM class. The GTM class is essentially 3-plus-year-old GT3 specification cars. It also includes Porsche Carrera Cup cars, or former Porsche Carrera Cup cars, and Ferrari Challenge cars. Ferrari Challenge has provided a few entries this weekend. In fact, there's 3 Ferrari Challenge class cars in the GTM field. Fortunately, though, for Jerry Wang, despite having the biggest amount of competition he's had all year here at Buriram, he only needs 1 more point to take this championship. So what he doesn't need is 2 DNFs. But anyone that can actually match him, the only one he's really going to be worried about is Dylan Dudali and Hisashi Cooney in the Porsche Type 991 Cup car, the number 20 car further back in the field. We see that starting last. That's the car that made contact with the points leader. So they're the only ones in with any real chance of being able to take the fight to Jerry Wang. If they equalise on points, it'll come back to the number of race wins. And that will be pretty close, because certainly young Dudali, there he is on screen, the tail of the field, has won alongside Hisashi Cooney a couple of times over the last few rounds. He first appeared with the team with the Gulf Racing JP Porsche team in the Porsche GT3R that the team also campaigned this weekend. It's qualified a little bit further forward in the field. It's one of the older GT3 cars, in fact the oldest GT3 car in the field. He drove that car in the Belgian GT Championship, so that was the reason he was part of the team, but they could see how quick he was and decided that they would employ him to help Hisashi Cooney win this GTM class battle. Now, cars are starting to get themselves in order. The safety car has brought the speed down to where they want it to be. You see the officials organising them to get into rows of 2x2. They've done this enough times already this year. This is time number 10. Certainly a number of these drivers have done it many times over the years. They will be in a 2x2 formation, come at a controlled speed to the start. Now that speed is controlled by Duncan Tappy, his first pole position of the year. Number 77 Bentley Continental GT3. Watch him come to the line and control the field. It will be a hot battle. He could well play into this equation with the championship. Be interesting to see how it plays out. Coming to the line very, very slowly. Wait for that twin-turbo 4-litre V8 fire up, and he's away. You hear the thunderous roar. They've got the green light. Oh, McLaren's got very close there. Tappy's moving across to try and guard that position. Caldarelli. Thomas Enger maintained position 3. See, Darryl Young's taken about 4 or 5 cars already. That's very wide Bentley further back. That may well, in fact, be Imperatore trying to avoid. No, yes, it is. In fact, it is Imperatore, but that looks like it's the Sawa Fong car well back, further back in the pack than they would like to be, as now Caldarelli sneaks up the inside of the hairpin, trying to get up the inside of Duncan Tappy. Now, Sawa just needs to settle down now. He needs to have a strong result. In fact, there's only 3 cars now separating Peter Sawa and Darryl Young in this championship battle. This is just what Darryl Young needs. The car he's keeping an eye on, of course, is the red and yellow Ferrari and the number 8 Bentley, just 3 cars in front of him. This is working out very nicely this early in the race. Duncan Tappy still controls the lead behind him. Andrea Caldarelli behind him. Alvaro Parente, his teammate. Further back, Thomas Engers dropped back to position number 4. See the field coming through. Duncan Tappy, Caldarelli, Parente, Enger, Matt Griffin. The Irish driver has jumped in alongside Mock this weekend. Normally drives alongside the driver of the number 12 car, the reigning Rookie of the Year. That is, of course, Richie Wee. Lights ablaze on the cars further back. See the blue Interrush car. That is in position number 6. The Ulsterman, the 2 Irishmen are nose to tail. in two of the most well-supported teams in the GT Asia Series. A long and storied history between Clearwater Racing and Craft Bamboo. They're running in positions number 5 and number 6. See the lights ablaze there, the yellow and blue Ferrari just going through the screen there now. Immediately ahead of Kitasawa is Carlo Van Dam, very experienced campaigner. Darryl Young in position number 13. He's sitting where he needs to. He doesn't need to be pushing hard and risking anything as Max Visa looks down the inside of his teammate Davide Rizzo coming down into turn number 3. And he takes the position away. The Italian has taken the position away from his compatriot. He will also be mindful, of course, that Davide Rizzo is in this championship hunt, so that may be a change of position later in this race. But unfortunately for that team, Young Zin and Max Visa will be making their last start in GT Asia for a while. They'll be sitting out next year. Now, 3 Ferraris between Darryl Young and Kitasawa. Now, Kitasawa seems to have just settled into a bit of a rhythm now. His pace first lap out, 1:31.5. Darryl Young a 1:32.9 because he had traffic working through the field. Alex Imperatori has a lot of experience in Porsches in this part of the world. He's been driving prototypes more recently, and that is Jerry Wang. Replay there, that's not what he needed. He wants to finish. We're talking about the important thing for Jerry Wang this weekend is finishing. Maybe a little bit of damage. No, he's just got the car going again. A little bit of dirt on the tyre. Okay, so it's Duncan Tappy. It's Andrea Caldarelli. 1:34.04 for Duncan Tappy. Fastest car on field, 1.1 seconds now. The gap he has over Andrea Caldarelli. Alvaro Parente, position 3. Thomas Enger. That is Marchi Lee looking on board. He is there assisting. Of course, a former race winner in GT Asia. Former R8 LMS Cup champion. He's assisting Jerry Wang here this weekend. And Jerry's well back down the order. Frustration for him. So Matt Griffin in position 5. Richard Lyons is compatriot position 6 for Craft Bamboo Racing. Alex Imperatori is in position number 7, Carlo Van Dam 8. Position 9 for Peter Sower. His pace last time, 1:34.7. Max Visa, position 9. Position 10 for Davide Rizzo. And Kato is now driving alongside Richie Wee, as he has done a couple of times this year, the Japanese driver. Super GT experience, as we were saying earlier. Super GT was here in June. He is in position number 11. Now, currently the GTM class leader is Voravod Birimbakti and Kasiri in one of the 2 Singer-supported GTM Ferrari 458 Challenge cars. Sawa is starting to close in now on the back of, see him just top of screen there, on the back of Carlo Van Dam. He will be well aware, he'll be being told on the radio, and he will be able to see that yellow Aston Martin in his rear vision mirror. He knows what he has to do. They are 4 points behind. The difference between third and third in this championship is 4 points. So you'll see Adley Fong step into that car after the compulsory pit stop, but certainly there are another group of cars in front that they will need to contend with if they're going to get towards the front of the field and maximise the impact that bad start Kitasawa has had. But it is all about recovery. You see there's 2 Bentleys there. The third Bentley in this line from Absolute Racing is the car that they will be focusing on. That's the one they need to be brought back into this championship equation. Currently, positions stay the way that they are. Points are paid down to position number 12. Darryl Young would not get any points. For position number 9, you would see 5 points. In fact, 4 points go to Kitasawa and Adley Fong, which would mean they would start the last round of the season equal on points. They've been equal on points already in this championship, and in Shanghai equal on points. The winner in the end, by virtue of being the first finishing car in both races, was Darryl Young alongside Daniel Lloyd. Now, Duncan Tappy's been saying all year he wants a chance to win a race. He's going to support, he's going to do everything he can to support the title aspirations of Kitasawa and Adley Fong. But the young Englishman didn't have a place in the M Sport factory team this year. They were oversubscribed. So they found him a drive out here in Asia alongside Jackie Young, Tiger Jackie, unfortunately hasn't been able to complete the last few rounds of this championship, the reigning GTM class champion. He may lose that mantle today to another Audi driver in Jerry Wang. But the young Englishman was very keen to impress on his placement in Asia, and he's done a fantastic job since he first got into the number 77 Bentley earlier in the season. In fact, he arrived at the first round. He was a last-minute sub. One of the other factory drivers was unable to make the trip across to South Korea, so we met Duncan for the first time. And the very talented and likeable Englishman's been a very impressive addition to this field. And he would love nothing more than be able to take the fight to drivers of the calibre of Parente and Caldarelli and take a victory. Sarge Tappy, 33.752, very close to qualifying times. Of course, the pole time for this session was a 32.43. We've got bigger fuel loads. Temperature of the day is a little bit hotter than it was this morning, so those things will be playing into the equation. The pit window will open at the 25-minute mark of this race. Certainly well shy of that. 52 minutes of this race still remaining. Last time out, 34.2 for Caldarelli to the 33.7 of Duncan Tappy. He's stretched that lead out now to 2.1 seconds. Across the line again. The teams are really pushing hard. 5 laps down. GTM class leader, still Siri and Buriram Bhakti. So 3 Singer Ferraris here this weekend. There's one on screen. Pity Buriram Bhakti driving alongside Carlo Van Dam. They have been a race winner so far this year. In fact, race wins have gone 3 to Daryl O'Young, 2 race wins to Kita Sawa and Adley Fong, 2 to Anthony Liu and Davide Rizzo, 2 to Daniel Lloyd, the young Englishman, 1 to Jonathan Venter, who Lloyd replaced after Venter became injured in a training exercise in Australia just prior to Sepang. And Carlo Van Dam and Todd Petty, just talking about them on screen, won the 4th race of the year. But they won the 5th race of the year, which was the opening round at Fuji. So Tappy still punching out some quick laps, 2.7 seconds now, Caldarelli. Parente in a bit of a watching brief behind his teammate. 2 McLarens running strongly. We're used to seeing 3 McLarens from the Triple F team. Unfortunately, we lost one of them at Shanghai. A very big accident for the Australian Rod Salmon. There's contact with the GTM class car as he went into the braking market into the main straight at around 200 kilometres an hour, fired into the Armco barriers. It tore the front off the car, and he was able to just pop the door and walk away from what he admitted was probably the biggest accident he'd ever had in his career as a racing driver. So unfortunately the car was unable to be repaired prior to this round. Now the gap between Kita Sawa has stretched out over Daryl O'Young, who's being held up now by Davide Rizzo. Now that's frustration for the Chinese-Italian combination. The number 37 car has been a title contender since they first appeared in the first round of the 2014 championship, where they won, to everybody's great surprise, both of the opening rounds of the championship. From that point on, they were contenders all the way through. They started this year with another victory in South Korea before, unfortunately, they had to sit out the Fuji round due to other commitments. So despite the fact they missed an entire round, they have managed to keep the momentum alive and keep this championship going. Now, it looks like we've got some real competition. If you look at a replay of the start, it was fairly clean, which was fortunate. Daryl O'Young made a good start. There's a very tight battle brewing further back in the field. Watching the replay, you can see the field flowing through quite cleanly there. And there's the passing move that Alvaro Parente made on Thomas Enger to take position 3-way. So a very hot battle shaping up further back in the field between Richard Lyons, Alex Imperatori, Carlo Van Dam, who's tucked right under the rear wing of the number 7 J-Fly Racing Bentley, and also, of course, the title contending car of Kita Sawa. Top of the screen, that is, you can just see them there. Imperatori's gone very, very wide. Now, was that a strategic move to allow his teammate Kita Sawa to move up another position? Valuable championship points. That could have been a strategic move, and why wouldn't he? The championship is important. The Absolute Racing team Made the debut as we watch a replay. No. Oh, it's a diving move up the inside. Oh, it's contact, in fact. That's why. It wasn't a strategic move. That was Alex Imperatori getting contact from Carlo Van Dam as they turned into turn 12. What that has done, of course, is that's given Kitasawa that extra impetus to move up the order. And he is now shown in position number 2, whilst Daryl O'Young continues to be held up by Davide Rizzo. Last time round, 136.5 for Daryl O'Young. 135.7 for Kitasawa, who's now in position number 8. So valuable championship points, and he is starting to move forward. Daryl O'Young's dropped back now a little bit from Davide Rizzo. So one wonders whether he's just thought, well, rather than risk any more drama, I will hold this position. There's nothing behind me. There's daylight behind me. I don't want to risk getting involved in any kind of contact, certainly not with one of my title rivals. And I will leave young Daniel Lloyd to take this car, possibly. It'll be interesting to see whether they make a tyre change. Give him this car and let him go out and fire it off after the podium in this race and some more valuable championship points. Now he is a little bit further back in the field. In fact, currently, Daniel Lloyd will take the car over 8.8 seconds behind, 10 seconds rather, behind the race leader, who of course is the number 77 Bentley Continental of Duncan Tappy. Further back in the field, the GTM class car of Kenneth Lynn and James Kay is probably off the pace that we're used to seeing from them. In fact, they won last time out at Shanghai. Very impressive job from the Chinese-Malaysian team. On screen, there is Duncan Tappy. His lead out to 3.7 seconds now, still in the low 34s. Caldarelli also in the low 34s, 3.7 seconds back, 2.2 seconds up on his teammate Alvaro Parente. Thomas Enga still in a watching brief, still circulating comfortably. He admitted he didn't want to get involved in this championship battle, although the two cars immediately in front of him, and Duncan Tappy, in fact, are not involved in this championship battle. Lights ablaze for Caldarelli as he comes up the inside of Jerry Wang. Jerry's been in this position before. In fact, it took him a couple of rounds to actually get his head around the fact that some of these GT3 cars can be very, very aggressive as they work their way through the field on the lap cars. So there's a bit of work to do for the Absolute Racing Audi driver. But again, all he needs is to finish this race, earn one solitary point. He's certainly going to earn a lot more than that. He's about 5th position in the class at the moment, and that's worth a valuable 9 points. He will be the 2015 GTM class champion. Now, pit window opens in just over 10 minutes' time. Then things will start to get a little bit interesting. So we have about a 10-minute window of some drivers pitting early, some drivers pitting late. Traditionally, the professional drivers who are in the car, they've started this race, will pit late in the session. Drivers that are running alone, like Jerry Wang, can pit pretty much where they want to. When you've got a combination of drivers like Kitasawa and Adley Fong that are very, very closely matched on pace, it really doesn't matter. So if Sawa feels that he's had enough, he could pull in once that window is open and allow the very fast young driver from Hong Kong, Lotus Formula One development driver and competitor in the hotly contested GP3 open wheel category, put Adley Fong behind the wheel and let him go after the drivers in front. Certainly a number of the gentleman drivers, the amateur class drivers, will jump behind the wheel of their cars for the second session. And many of those are very, very quick. In fact, we're talking about the man who owns the car on screen, the number 1 car, Matt Griffin, who's just recently been crowned the Blancpain Endurance Series champion in the Pro-Am class. He will hand the car across to Mok Wing Sun, and 20 wins in a 5-and-a-bit-year career of the GT Asia Series, the winningest driver by a factor of about 16. He will jump behind the wheel of his Ferrari and be very keen to have one victory at the very least this year. The Clearwater team have been the standout. They've been 3-time drivers champion, 3-time teams champion last year, rookie of the year last year, been the standout team in the GT Asia Series. Haven't had the year that they would have liked this year, but certainly Wing Sun's just as competitive, and they will come back bigger, better and bolder next year. There's some suggestion there may be a 2-car Ferrari 488, new twin-turbo V8 powered Ferrari that will appear in FIA GT3 competition next year. Duncan Tappy is still charging 34-0, last time out again. The young Englishman is really pushing, joined this time by Benny Simonsen, Danish driver, who's made an appearance here this weekend and been very quick too. So that combination is going to be very hard to beat, certainly with the pace that Duncan Tappy is showing right now. Simonsen, during qualifying, at one stage was on top of the timesheets. In fact, in qualifying session number 2, he didn't fall too far back, but wound up in position number 3 as Daniel Lloyd forced his way through the field with that absolute blinder in the dying moments of qualifying session number 2. Now there are the two Singer Ferrari 458 GTM class cars, followed by Dylan Dudali, who's worked his way onto their tail. Now, the Buriram family, there's two brothers in the field. One, Piti Buriram, and Gaurav Buriram, who's in the red car, is actually a cousin. So there's a bit of sibling rivalry in one sense, but also family rivalry. But the one that's watching a little bit further back is Dylan Dudali. Now he can only keep teammate Hisashi Kudi's championship hopes alive by getting in front of these two Ferraris and taking maximum championship points, and hope, without wanting to wish any kind of ill will on any opponent, hope that there is some kind of drama that befalls Jerry Wang and he records no points in this final race. As it stands, Jerry's still circulating. He's a little bit further back. He's gone a lap down. We saw the leaders come past. In fact, up to these guys, they are a lap down. Jerry will finish this race, but certainly the two Singer cars, which have been competing regularly in the Thailand Super Series, have been a real revelation here this weekend. Experience has worked in their favour. We're talking about lap cars. Duncan Tappy's coming up behind what's likely to be James Kay, who gets out of the way nicely, allows the Bentley to carry on. It's down to turn 7 to turn 8. The Singer team keeping a close eye on proceedings. Birimbakti watching his car circulate. He will jump behind the wheel at some stage shortly. Benjamin Rouget is currently behind the wheel of the 59 car, which is the second of the two Ferrari 458 challenge cars from Singer. So championship is alive. There's 16 points separating the number 99 car of Darrell Young and the number 37, which is immediately in front of him on track at the moment. That's positions 12 and number 13 of Anthony Liu and Davide Rizzo. As we see Andrea Caldarelli go around the outside of James Kay. 4 points behind the championship points leader, as we explained at the start of this program, is the number 8 car of Kita Sawa and Adelie Fong, the teammate to the car that's running away from the field at the front of this race. So, after the pit stop, we will see how things play out. But as it stands right now, Darrell Young will lose his championship points lead. And Kita Sawa and Adelie Fong will move forward in the championship. There'll be a slight advantage too for Davide Rizzo and Anthony Liu. And once Anthony Liu jumps behind the wheel, we know how quick he can be. In fact, during the second qualifying session, he finished in position number 5. So they will start race 2 from the 3rd row. He can be certainly one of the fastest drivers in the field, certainly one of the fastest amateur class drivers. People who think he should have had a career as a racing driver. He's certainly been fast, 4-time round winner in his debut year last year. One of those was the very first time he'd been to Macau. And he won that round quite comfortably, but unfortunately, with Mock finish in that event in position number 2, and won the championship by just a couple of solitary points. So that made things, it certainly worked well on the resume of Anthony Liu. But this year, and certainly the pace the last couple of rounds hasn't quite been there, but the Ferraris have struggled a little bit here this weekend. Matt Griffin is really driving within himself to be holding down position number 5, certainly ahead of Richard Lyons. We haven't quite seen the pace out of the naturally aspirated cars here this weekend. The big V12 Aston Martin, the 6-litre V12 Aston Martin, and the 4.5-litre V8 powered Ferraris haven't quite had the pace of the turbocharged cars which are running away at the front of this field. One car that we haven't seen in this race Ferris Fauzi and Zen Low. Oh, as we see a drama, that's a tyre failure. The left rear of Matt Griffin, we were just talking about, up to position number 5. He'll want to get the Clearwater Racing Ferrari back to pit lane as quickly as he can so that the team can repair that without any more additional damage. Now, whether that was debris or there was some level of contact, I'm just going to look at the replay. He's clearly run wide knowing there's something wrong with the car. As you say, very experienced driver, reigning Blancpain Series champion. He will return the car to pit lane. He'll know what he needs to do as Hiroshi Hamaguchi, Japanese driver, race winner in GT Asia, certainly been a race winner this year. Round 3 alongside Tonio Luzzi, who's away racing Formula E in Beijing at the moment. As we see on track just a little bit further in the field as Darrell O'Young's doing everything he can to get past the number 37 Ferrari. They've come into the final turn side by side, further back from Duncan Tappy. Across the line, Darrell O'Young's decided he really needs to get the pace going. He's up the ante as we watch Matt Griffin struggle back to pit lane. So this is frustration for the Clearwater team, and this just highlights the kind of year they've had. They've had no luck, starting from the opening round where there was drama. Contact with one of the Bentleys eliminated them. They had an onboard fire for Jimmy Bruni, as we see the battle now on screen between the 37 car and the 99. We're getting very close to the pit window opening. In fact, it is only 2 minutes away, so Darrell O'Young's pushing just a little bit extra hard to see what he can do to get a position further forward in the field as he hands across to Daniel Lloyd. But certainly the dramas they've had, they had a fire at the second round at Okayama. Jimmy Bruni was on the roll-around lap. There was a fuel leak. It set the rear of the number 1 Clearwater car ablaze, and the team did an absolutely brilliant job to rebuild that car in the 3 weeks that they had prior to the next round. Now, the problem here we've got for Matt Griffin is he was forced to pit just over a minute prior to the pit window opening, so they'll have to come back in for their compulsory pit stop. That is desperation for the Clearwater Racing team. They wanted a good result here this weekend, and that just hasn't started well for them. We'll find out certainly what we can before race 2 and update you as to what has happened as Matt Griffin rejoins the field. But if you want to keep up with the GT Asia Series around the world, a brand new website, www.gtasiaseries.com, and take a close look at Facebook, facebook.com/GT Asia Series, one word. And we will keep you up with what's going on here with the GT Asia Series as we draw to the close of the 2015 championship and start planning for what promises to be a mammoth 2016 title battle, certainly with a whole feast of new cars expected to come into the Asian market next year. Ferrari, Mercedes-Benz, Audi certainly all have new models for introduction next year. Lamborghini, we're expecting, will probably introduce the new Huracan into the GT Asia Series, and they're a group of fantastic cars we look forward to seeing. Now the pit window is just about open. In fact, it is now 15 seconds away from opening. And which of the teams are going to get to the window? So Duncan Tappy has the choice if he likes to pit, but with the pace he's turning right now, he's dropped back into the mid-34s. He's 5.1 seconds up on Andrea Caldarelli. I would expect they will continue on for another 6 or 7 minutes rather, before they get towards the end of the compulsory pit stop window. So expect the leading group. The first one that may well be in is Kitasawa. So we'll keep a close eye on the Japanese driver as he's heading now down towards, no, there he is. He hasn't come into pit lane, so he's going to continue on. Here's Alex Imperatori running tail gunner for him. Max Visa continues to circulate in the number 9 Spirit of Race Ferrari, a little bit further back. There is the AF Corsa supported Clearwater Racing team. He's keeping tabs on what's going on now. That is the number 55 car of Alvaro Parente's really up the ante. Their lap times were fairly close last time. One wonders whether the Toyota Team Thailand car that's on screen there, the Toyota 86 powered by a Lexus V8, whether that may, in fact, the Matavu Matapom car may have actually slowed the progress of Caldarelli and allowed Alvaro Parente to close in. So, compulsory pit stop window. See the gap is a lot narrower than it was the lap prior. It was out to nearly 2 seconds. Parente's really closed that down. Keep close eye on the leaders. 33 minutes left to go in this race. as we say, pit window is open. See James Kay and Kenneth Lim, the number 69 white Ferrari challenge car, have pitted. Daryl O'Young has come into pit lane, so there you go, to hand over to Daniel Lloyd. Now, he was certainly one of the drivers we expect to see do the job. He has a very long 97-second compulsory stop. Now, one lap around this circuit is about 100, or is this about 95 seconds, in fact. So they could well go a lap down. And the Craft Bamboo team, in fact, will go a lap down. We'll have to be very careful on the restart. But as things organise themselves, we know what the pace of Daniel Lloyd is like. As the rest of the teams commit their compulsory stop, things will start to sort themselves out. So it won't be too long before we see that gorgeous yellow number 99 VLT Aston Martin on screen. There's Adley Fong waiting for Kita Sawa to come in. So as we surmised, perhaps Sawa will be in earlier. As Duncan Tappy continues to circulate on screen. That is still Carlo Van Dam. More drama now. This is the second of the Clearwater Racing Ferraris. This is certainly not their year. They've done nothing to deserve this. The team have always turned in a fantastic job, but the equipment is always first class. As we say, they had a fire that destroyed the rear of the car, even destroyed the part of the chassis. They rebuilt it between Okayama and Fuji, just 3 weeks. So they're a very crack operation, but there's drama. Smoke certainly pouring from the left rear of the Richie Wee run, number 11 this weekend, traditionally number 12. And you see a replay here, a lot of smoke from the Rocky Kato's behind the wheel still of that car of Richie Wee. And hopefully it can continue on. Now, Daniel Lloyd's on track. What we want to keep an eye on is his pace. 1:35.3 so far is the best for that car, and that was for Daryl O'Young. We know that young Daniel Lloyd's capable of turning out laps in the 32s and the 33s. We've seen that already this weekend, so keep an eye on the number 99 car. He'll be doing everything he can to work his way back up the field. Currently shown as a lap down. That happened during that very long extended pit stop. Adley Fong runs around to the number 8. Here's the man that could put in a drive right now to all but settle this championship, because the number 99 car has a lot of work ahead of it. Daniel Lloyd, very talented young driver, has shown that pressure, even from some of the best drivers in the world, isn't going to put him off his pace. So there's not much you can worry about there. He was saying to me earlier in the weekend after one of the sessions, he said, I'm not in control of anybody else's pace. I'm not in control of what Daryl does. I'm not in control of what any of the other drivers around me do. I'm in control of what I can handle. So I'm only going to focus on what I'm capable of. I'll put in the best effort I can, and in the process, if that helps Daryl win this championship, then I've done the job. It's a pretty fair attitude to take for the young Englishman. There's a lot of support for the TB12 racing team. That is, of course, Carlo Van Dam and Piti Birimbakti. Birimbakti, a local driver, a big part of the Singer family, is just coming through the mid part of the circuit there. That will be down to turn 4. Just running very wide there was Daniel Lloyd, all 4 wheels off the circuit. So he's really pushing very, very hard. So we'll keep close eye. This is his first lap out. Keep a close eye on the pace of the number 99 VLT car. Now, the Birimbakti cousins are still at the battle. The cars of the cousins are still at the battle. Currently behind the wheel. Siri in the front of the 2 cars. The 2 GTM class cars. There's the number 77, Duncan Tappy. Comes around again. Dylan Zadali is into pit lane to hand over to Masashi Cooney. Natadu Natapong, Toyota 86, is also currently in pit lane. Pace continues to run fairly strongly, although Tappy now into the high 34s. He has a lead of more than 6.7 seconds. Parente now has taken over position number 2, missed that one. So Caldarelli may be struggling a little bit. Caldarelli's back into the 1:36.8, so he's lost 2 and a bit seconds. There may be a problem with the number 5 Triple F racing team by ACM McLaren 650S GT3. So we'll keep tabs on that, because that's not the pace you'd expect of of a driver of the calibre of Andrea Caldarelli. There's more cars starting to look towards a compulsory stop. Pit window still has another 7 minutes remaining, so certainly up to the drivers to continue. Now, Duncan Tappy has pitted from the lead. He's going to hand over to Benny Simonson. Young Danish driver, very tall young Danish driver, squeeze himself into the Bentley. As it looks now like, is it a slow Carlo Van Dam? No, it's not. Fortunately, that would not go well with the local Thai fans. Seeing the number 12 car circulating slowly, another Thai car on field. Thomas Enger continues to circulate, position number 4. He's dropped back a little bit too, into the high 134s. Caldarelli's back up to pace, 34.7 last time round to 34.4 for Parente. Now, Daniel Lloyd is the car that we're looking for. Currently shown in position number 13, 35.1 last time round, so probably had a little bit of traffic. Davide Rizzo's stepped up the pace too into a 34.4. So his pace has come along, unless of course he has been into pit lane and made his compulsory stop, which is likely. So the 23 board out, that is for Jerry Wang. And there is Daniel Lloyd, has worked his way past Matt Griffin, who will now go to the very end of this pit window. He's ahead of them. That is Alvaro Parente in the 55 car. Jerry Wang looks like he's heading down pit lane to make his compulsory stop. There's a number. Thomas Enger's coming down pit lane. Richard Lyons is coming down pit lane. So there's a flow of cars down as the two McLarens continue to circulate. They are now positions 1 and 2. Alvaro Parente is leading as there's some debris on the circuit that looks like a tyre carcass. Whether that is the remainder of the tyre from the number 1 car. We saw the left rear drama that Matt Griffin had earlier in this race. As Hisashi Cooney in the Golf Racing JP Porsche had Alvaro Parente all over the back of him. A string of cars in the pit lane. There is the number 12 car. The TP12 Racing Ferrari 458 from Singer Motorsport. Piti Birimbakti climbing behind the wheel. As now Hisashi Cooney thought he'd seen one McLaren. Now he's got another. He's not seeing double. They're circulating 1-2 at the front of the field. So, pace from Daniel Lloyd. He continues to push. He's shown a lap down, but of course the leading cars in this field, the top 7, have not yet committed all their stops. Currently, Eng, Lyons, Van Dam, Imperator, Max Visa, Rouget are in pit lane. Rouget's the leading car in GTM. It's Jerry Wang leaving pit lane after his compulsory stop. There is the Thomas Eng Cherupong Lamborghini from Vitana Motorsport. He is leaving pit lane. There's a string of cars. Frank Yu, Cherupong, Jerry Wang, Young Zin. A feast of cars leaving pit lane. A compulsory pit stop window getting close to closing. In fact, it is now closed, so all the cars are in. You see that is Hiroshi Hamaguchi climbing in to replace Alvaro Parente. Caldarelli and Fu are making their stop. Now the pace of Kita Sawa's co-driver was Adley Fong, 134 dead last time out. He is the fastest man on the circuit, which we've come to expect. Daniel Lloyd must still be in traffic, 135.0. As the young Englishman works his way forward in this field, shown in position number 12. Now that gives him one solitary point in this championship. Currently though, Adley Fong is in position number 9, which gives him 5 points. The difference, 4 points. The difference as it stands in the championship between those two cars right now is 4 points. Now he's just moved forward another position. He's just taken Young Zin in the number 9 Spirit of Race Ferrari. So that is up for another position. Richie Wee and it is Anthony Liu on screen. Daniel Lloyd has just fired past the number 1 car. So he's taken that position away. The next car in front of him will be Richie Wee. Immediately in front of him will be Anthony Liu. So there is some position changes coming up. What that means is that negates that advantage that Adley Fong currently enjoys. So Fong needs to move forward. He's up to position number 7, so there's more valuable points. He has the Vitana Lamborghini immediately in front of him, 3 seconds up the road. Every chance he will catch him fairly shortly, and that will be another move forward as we see Jeffrey Lee in the J-Fly Racing Bentley from Absolute Racing on screen. Jeffrey Lee's taken over from Alex Imperatori, the first time that combination has been run this year. We have seen Andy Merrick in the past in the number 7 car, and of course Andy Suchek, so 2 very talented stars from the M Sport factory. Bentley team, Duncan Tappy taking a well-earned drink. That is Ingo Mater, the team boss. Absolute Racing on screen, liking what he sees. He'd certainly like to see those 2 Bentleys running at the front of the field. We now have Hamaguchi and Sean Fu. In fact, that may be Sean Fu on screen. Yes, the number 5 Triple F Racing team by ACM McLaren 650S. They are the drivers on field. Benny Simonson back across the line. Now, the order will start to sort itself out. You see it there on screen. It's Simonson, it's Hamaguchi on screen now, position number 2. Buriram Barkley up to position number 3. Good result for them. Sean Fu, position 4. Frank Yu is in position number 5. The Vitana Lamborghini is in position number 6. Position number 7 is Adley Fong. Adley Fong, as you've seen the change right there. He's moved up to position number 6. Next car in front of him will be Frank Yu. Position number 8 is Young Zin. Position number 9 is Jeffrey Lee. As you see on screen, positions 10 through 12. So it's starting to heat up. 20 minutes to go. How's the championship look as it stands right now? Well, Adley Fong is in position number 6. That gives him 8 points. Currently, Daniel Lloyd gets 1 point for the team on screen. As you see, he's about to make a position change through here on the reigning Rookie of the Year. It's Richie Wee. Then now number 11, Clearwater Racing Ferrari 458. So that will now give him 2 points. The difference is 6 points. What does that mean? That means at the end of this race, if positions stay the same as they are right now, which is pretty unlikely given the pace that both Adley Fong and Daniel Lloyd are showing, Jerry Wang goes very, very wide to allow the 2 GT3 cars to get through. Positions remain like this, then there will be a 2-point advantage then to the Sawa Fong combination heading into the final round of the championship. It's a battle further up. That's the number 5 car of Sean Fu. He's managed to keep going. Looks like he's just had a spin. Look out where on the circuit he is. Let's look at a replay. Might have been contact with Adley Fong, or is he just caught wide? He's probably just caught wide on the ripple strip, and that has sent him around. Fortunately, we hope without contact. Oh, a little bit of contact with the barrier. Hopefully that hasn't done too much damage to the rear of the number 5 car. Have a look at it as it goes around. Certainly the aerodynamics on a GT3 car, you don't want to be touching any of the corners on any of these cars because that can have an impact. Now, what is the pace of Adley Fong, who's up to position 5 like? 1:34.3. The pace of Daniel Lloyd, 1:35.5. So Daniel Lloyd's still battling through traffic, but he hasn't quite got the pace of the Bentleys around him. Next car in front of him, though, is another Bentley. That is Jeffrey Lee, multiple race winner in GT Asia Series over the years. As now Adley Fong is all over the back of Frank Yu. That is in position, that is for position number 4. Not too far ahead of him is Buriram Barkley. So there's going to be a bit of an overtaking move at some point shortly for position number 4 and more valuable championship points as we see a passing move now. That was very nicely done by Daniel Lloyd. He's further back in the field, but he's just taken one of the cars that may have made his life a little bit more difficult. 4 position now, coming down to turn 12. Will there be a braking duel between the Interrush Aston and Adley Fong? No, he's not going to get him there. Might be a drag race down the front straight. See whether the young driver from Hong Kong, yeah, side by side across the line. Can't quite see it on screen yet, but certainly the Craft Bamboo team, you see Darryl Young looking there as to what's going on. He knows what the equation is. Daniel Lloyd is still punching out gritty, stout laps. Last time around 135.5, as we alluded to. Peter Sawa and Adelie Fong will be coming away from this very nicely. They have to continue to move forward though. Adelie Fong has taken away position number 4 from Frank Yu. The next car in front of him is 3 seconds up the road now is Piti Birimbakti. Birimbakti hasn't enjoyed his weekend so far here at home in Thailand. Certainly enjoyed the off-track activities. So far as the on-track activities, hasn't quite had the pace that he would have liked. They were hoping for a strong run in front of their home crowd. He in fact is in with a mathematical chance, or up until the end of this race, of being in the championship. His maiden year in has contact again for the number 5 car of Sean Fu. So it'll be interesting to see what's happened there, whether it is as a result of his first spin and touch and something's broken loose in the rear of the car, or he's been involved in contact. That is Richie Wee taking position away from Jeffrey Lee. Jeffrey, of course, a long-time Audi competitor. Stepped into the Bentley Continental this year. It's taken a little bit of time for the Taiwanese driver to get himself up to speed. But certainly, he, like his teammates, Jackie Yung and Kita Sarah and Adelie Fong, has enjoyed spending the time in the big Bentley this year. Talk about big, its weight is actually very similar to all the cars on track around it. Its performance characteristics are very similar to all the cars on circuit around it. Fair weapon in the GT Asia Series this year, the first full year in. That appears to be Sean Fu on his way back down around the circuit. He's lost the bodywork at the rear of the car. Piti Birimbakti may well get held up here. You can see how much ground Adelie Fong's made up behind the Thai driver. He's immediately behind them. You see the Bentley on right of screen. The yellow car is, of course, Piti Birimbakti. This will be for a podium finish for the number 8 Bentley. We're hoping to get past the number 5 McLaren without too much drama. A little bit tight there. Adelie Fong wants to make sure Sean Fu knows he's there. To close the door, everything's comfortable. So that will be 16 minutes of this race to go. That will be an opportunity now for Adelie Fong to move forward another position. Now GTM class is currently led by Boravud Birimbakti. So he has had a chance to move forward. His cousin Burit is dropped back down to position number 3 in GTM class. Is Isashi Cooney in the Gulf Racing JP 991. Porsche has just had a spin on circuit. That is not a good result for them between turns 4 and 5. It's tail into the Armco barriers, hasn't made any contact, just rejoined, but that will certainly lose him position and all but end their opportunity to see a fair bit of tyre debris on the circuit. It's not something we've seen this weekend, so whether drivers have used too much of the curb, or there's been some kind of debris on track, or certainly contact, as Adelie Fong now takes away position number 3 from Piti Birimbakti and moves himself further forward. That's 14 points in the championship. Daniel Lloyd, he's not hanging around. He's moved up to position number 9. Fastest man on the track at the moment. 134.535. So we have a look at a replay, and that is Isashi Cooney spinning in the car that he shares with Dylan Didali off the track. Hiroki Kato shares with Richie Wee, the racing team. Griffin, who'd done such a good job, up to position 4 before that tyre failure. So disappointment for them. Now we say tyre failure, that's a loose term. It may well have been as a result of contact or potentially something on the circuit. So as we say, we'll find more out about that in the updates on facebook.com/GT Asia Series and also on the www.gtasiaseries.com website. You can keep up to date with what's going on with this fantastic series as it continues to grow. Set a stunning pace. There's been a lot of international drives into the championship this year, and all of them, only Thomas Enger this morning was talking about. He said, I knew how great the depth of talent in this series was, but he said, I'm still very surprised at just how fast a lot of these drivers are and how competitive this series has become. And he's one of the stalwarts on screen, Frank Yu, in The number 88 into rush, Craft Bamboo racing car, currently shown in position number 5. So 134.5 for the number 99 car of Daniel Lloyd, 134 dead last time round for Adley Fong. So he continues to move forward. He's 11 seconds back from Hiroshi Hamaguchi. You wouldn't expect over the ensuing 13 minutes that he'd be able to pull that in, because certainly Hamaguchi, very quick driver, but last time round he took 1.2 seconds out of the Japanese driver, so it isn't beyond the realms of possibility. As for Daniel Lloyd, he just needs to continue to move forward. So the current situation, Daniel Lloyd in position number 9. 5 points. Currently 14 points for the third placed car of Adley Fong. Now, that is 5 points to the advantage. Sorry, position 9. That is 9 points to the advantage of the Bentley Continental team, which essentially puts them 5 points up going into the final round of the championship, reverses the order we saw, sadly, as a result of an incident during qualifying. That meant the number 99 team had to start at the rear of this field. It's one of the things that you can't account for as the Triple F Racing Team by ACM operation look on at the number 5 car. Here is Andrea Caldarelli keeping tabs on the other car in this field, which of course is Alvaro Parente, and Hiroshi Hamaguchi still shown in position number 2. Kenny Simonson continues to lead at the front of this field, doing a brilliant job. 35.8 last time round. Hamaguchi closed the lead down just a little bit, 34.8 last time round. A little bit of traffic for race leader Benny Simonson. As you see, that is the number 69 car, James K. Kingsley, just immediately ahead of Anthony Liu. Brilliant red and yellow BBT Ferrari 458, who has Daniel Lloyd ranging up right behind him. That will be for position 8. That is another valuable championship points. That limits the gap down to about 4 if positions remain the same. Certainly, Adley Fong will be pushing as hard as he possibly can to do what he can to catch up to Hiroshi Hamaguchi. 11 minutes, 16 seconds left in this race. Daniel Lloyd continues to push. We know how quick the young Englishman can be. He wants to be fast, but he wants to be safe. He wants to get through this traffic, take as many positions as he can, and continue this title battle into the last round here tomorrow afternoon. We'll see that at 3:15 p.m. That will be streamed live. You can keep up with it on YouTube and certainly on the GT Asia Series website. We'll bring you that one as it unfolds. Now, it looks very much like a GT300 class car from Super GT in Japan, but it is in fact a Toyota 86 that has been modified. It effectively meets the regulations of GT300, which runs with GT3 in Japan, so hence the reason that Lexus V8 powered Toyota 86 is here. It's got a very strong V8 sound to it, but pace-wise, it's not quite the pace of the current GTM frontrunners, but the Natapong car has been a welcome addition to the field for this round of the championship. Regular in the Thailand Super Series, but not a regular in the Thailand Super Series, but certainly enjoying his time out here in Asia. Got the call up on Wednesday, I believe, Benny Simonson, to jump on a plane and get himself across here to Thailand. As we see this battle for position, these two are title contenders. Unfortunately for Anthony Liu and Davide Rizzo, this passing move will all but negate their championship aspirations again for this year. Finished second in the championship, Anthony Liu last year, despite winning 4 rounds. Anthony Liu and Davide Rizzo have won 3 rounds this year. Just moves across to allow Daniel Lloyd in, ran a little bit wide coming through that part of the circuit. That's allowed Daniel Lloyd to take the position away. And that is another further move forward for the young Englishman. Up now to position number 8. 10 seconds now, the gap between Adley Fong and Hiroshi Hamaguchi with just over 9 minutes to go. Last time around, Adley Fong still in the 34s, 1:34.8. Hiroshi Hamaguchi, no slouch, 1:35.9. Meanwhile, Daniel Lloyd 1:35 dead. So Adley Fong, fastest car on circuit at the moment, with the exception of the man who's his teammate at the front of this field, Benny Simonson, who continues to hold point, 1:34.6. So a nice result for him in his debut in the GT Asia Series, and certainly Duncan Tappy will be the happiest man in the world if they can manage to pull off this victory and give themselves a bit of a push along in the championship in the process. But a great job for Benny Simonson as Anthony Liu looks at the tail now of the number 99 VLT Aston Martin from Craft Bamboo Racing. Immediately in front of him, this will be another position change for Daniel Lloyd. Comes in, Chinese driver from Shanghai. He's been a podium place getter before in the past. In fact, was on the podium at Fuji for the 6th race of the year alongside, contact. Now that's what we're talking about you don't need with a GT3 car. Hopefully Daniel Lloyd's got out of that in one piece. Certainly we saw some carbon damage there, and it looks like it's the rear of the Spirit of Race Ferrari, Young Zin's car. You see the damage at the rear. Hopefully that won't push the bodywork onto a tyre. You've got to be very, very careful. The aerodynamic aids on these GT3 cars, they don't take well to contact. So disappointment there. It's the hard-working Motorsport Asia crew keeping a close eye on what's going on in the Craft Bamboo pit garage. Frank Yu has closed in now on the tail of Piti Birimbakti. We've seen these drivers make contact before. In fact, there was contact between them during the most recent round at Shanghai. And that ended, unfortunately, with Frank Yu being tapped into a spin. Tapped again not long after, and that all but destroyed his weekend in Shanghai. But turning into turn 2, very fast turn 2 at Shanghai. Birimbakti got up the inside, thought he had a position there. Frank turned in, not having seen the Thai driver. Contact was made around the interrush. Aston went, and unfortunately that didn't play well for their weekend, but a bit like the Clearwater Racing team today, it was an indication of just how their year has gone. And for Frank Yu and Richard Lyons, one of the best GT3 drivers in the region, we expected to see them on the top step of the podium a number of times this year as Frank Yu takes the position away through turn 12. A drag race down the front straight with a big V12, 6-litre Aston Martin Vantage. Should hold position into turn 1. Now that's a great result for Frank Yu, moves him up to position number 4. So 7.1 seconds now, 1:33.7 if you don't mind from Benny Simonson. No, Piti Birimbakti's not over yet. He's going to have another go at this. These guys have been involved on track a number of times this year. It's been fairly close. Frank Yu knows he wants to avoid contact. He's just left the door open enough there. Birimbakti's moved across to make sure he's given Frank some racing room. Another drag race down to turn 4. Frank Yu has the inside running for turn 4. Takes the position back. And this continues on a little bit onto the dirty part of the circuit. A bit of oil down there from one of the TCR events earlier in the day. So an issue that they will have to deal with. So a bit of dust still on the circuit, just offline. As further back, Daniel Lloyd continues his run. So 6th position now for Daniel Lloyd. That is more valuable championship points as we see a battle between Weng Sun, long-time rival Jeffrey Lee. It's a little bit further back in the field. That is for position number 11, would you believe? Such is the bad luck that the Clearwater Racing team have had this year. Of course, we saw that tyre failure as Duncan Tappy stands with the crew on the pit box. Close eye on the pace of Benny Simonson. We saw Matt Griffin pit just prior to the compulsory pit stop window earlier in this race with a tyre failure, as that is Sashi Cooney. I'm not sure why he needs to protect position from a GT3 car, but anyway, he moves across this time. Lets Young's in through in the number 9 Ferrari. So the current positions as they stand. Benny Simonson in the number 77 Bentley is leading from Hiroshi Hamaguchi 7 seconds back. Natalie Fong now has closed to within 8 seconds of Hamaguchi. Just 3 minutes, 40 seconds left in this race. Position number 4, we saw Frank Yu take the position away from Piti Buriram, who is now in position number 5. Daniel Lloyd is shown in position number 6. The Vitana Lamborghini on screen here, immediately in front of Anthony Liu, has position number 7, as Frank Yu has gone very, very wide through turn number 5, and that has allowed Piti Buriram to take that position back. On screen, that is Hiroshi Hamaguchi, past the Singer Ferrari, which is leading the GTM class currently. Buriram behind the wheel. So that was down to positions number 7 and 8, the Vitana car, with Rizzo and Liu immediately behind in position number 8. So Young Zin in the Spirit of Race Ferrari, the blue and black car. We just saw that involved in a little bit of contact in position number 9. Richie Wee in the number 11 Clearwater Racing Ferrari is in position number 10. So Van Dam, as we saw, has taken back the position. Frank Yu has handed a position across to his young teammate. So now it is positions 3 and positions 5. The difference there, 4 points. 5 points, in fact, between positions number 3 and 5. That would mean there's 1 point to the advantage of the number 8 car. So Daniel Lloyd continues to push on. Next car immediately in front of him is in Piti Buriram. You would expect he'd take that position. So from rear of field at the start of this race, as he's just about up the inside of the Thai Toyota. Yep, very nervous. Duncan Tappy continues to watch. He shouldn't be too nervous. 7.2 seconds the lead. Hiroshi Hamaguchi looks fairly safe in positions number 2. Daniel Lloyd looks all but certain to move into position number 4. He's all over the back. He's just about to take the position away. Oh, very tight move across the back of the circuit at turn 9. And he's done the job. He's got past Piti Buriram and taken position number 4. Now the points difference is 4 points. Would you believe this? If this race finishes the way it is right now, there will be nothing separating the title contenders, the number 8 and the number 99, which start positions 1 and 2 on the grid in the second race tomorrow, will be equal on championship points. Now, you couldn't have written a script like that at the start of the year if you tried. This is going to go, as it has done so many years prior to this, all the way down to the wire. Benny Simonson is doing a good job. As we see, one of the GTM class cars come off at fairly high speed down at turn 4 into the gravel trap. Now, that was the GTM class points leader. That's the number 89 car, rather. That is Voravud Birimbakti, who's done a lot of miles around this circuit, certainly in touring car style cars and saloon cars, and he has just had a big off at turn 4, so hopefully not too much damage to that car, but disappointment for them. But what that's done is that's handed Burit Birimbakti, his cousin, as the last lap board has been shown to Benny Simonson. One more nervous wait for Duncan Tappy before what could be his maiden victory of the GT Asia Series. Really, there can't be any more changes in the order. Daniel Lloyd won't be able to get onto the back of Adderley Fong, and Adderley Fong is unable to make up enough ground now on Hiroshi Hamaguchi. So this will be status quo through the last lap, and we should see a very happy Duncan Tappy and Benny Simonson on his debut. A nice result for him to take victory for Absolute Racing. But as we say, what's even more interesting is we go into the final round of the championship with the two contenders starting on the front row, side by side, and equal on points. The clock has gone to 0. Half a lap now for Benny Simonson to continue this race. Duncan Tappy's getting very nervous. He shouldn't be nervous because ever since he jumped into the car this weekend, Benny Simonson has done a flawless job. In fact, very nearly got pole position for qualifying. As the teams continue to charge through this final lap. So it will be Duncan Tappy and Benny Simonson who will take victory from Alvaro Parente, Hiroshi Hamaguchi. Kitasawa and Adelie Fong will be on the bottom step of the podium. Brilliant drivers we've seen. Congratulations to Duncan Tappy and Benny Simonson. That is a well-deserved result. He's overjoyed at that result, and well-deserved too, very much so for Duncan Tappy, one of the nicest guys down in pit lane. A young driver is trying to make something of his career, and having a victory in this hotly contested series will not be a bad thing for the young man's resume. So, Tappy Simonson first, Parente Hamaguchi across the line in position number 2. Sawa and Fong will take position 3. Daniel Lloyd, as he has done since he first appeared in this series at Sepang for the 3-hour endurance race where he finished on the podium, has driven a brilliant stint to recover, to take Daryl O'Young to position number 4. Piti Buriram takes position 5. Frank Yu, position 6. The Vitana Lamborghini will close out in position number 7. Tirapong on his debut in a GT3 car, a good result for the local driver. Anthony Liu will bring the BBT team car home, the Ferrari. The 37 car home in position number 8. Position number 9, Young Zin for Spirit of Race Ferrari. Position number 10, Richie Wee. Position number 11 for Jeffrey Lee. Position 12 for the reigning champion, Mok Weng Sun. And position number 13, the GTM class winner, Buriram Bhakti. Sashi Cooney will take position 2, but that is the championship victory because he will finish this race in position number 19 to Jerry Wang from Absolute Racing. So congratulations to Jerry Wang. We have our first champion of the year. And there is your race winner, Duncan Tappy. Very, very happy man. Position number 3 for the GTM class, your winners last time out. You've seen them struggle a little bit today. Number 69 Ferrari 458 Challenge car of James Kay and Kenneth Lim. So a nice result for Absolute Racing. Yes, Bentley number 1, the Harwoods Group. Nice job for Duncan Tappy. Congratulations to him. But what that has done, as we were saying earlier, is that has evened out the championship. The points difference between the two contenders going into the final race is 0. So there's your result. Final classification, Duncan Tappy, Benny Simonson will take position 1. Parente and Hamaguchi in the McLaren for position 2. Kitasawa and Adelie Fong now equal championship points leader, position 3. Position 4, Daniel Lloyd, he's done it again in the Craft Bamboo Aston. Piti Buriram Bhakti, position 5. Frank Yu, position 6. And the writer Lamborghini finished in position number 7. Further back, James Kay and Kenneth Lim in position number 15, and they will be the third placed finishers in the GTM class. So another exciting event for the 2015 GT Asia Series. We have one more 60-minute race to go. The man on left of screen is again, as he has been at various stages during this season, the championship points leader alongside Adelie Fong. For Daryl O'Young, what started earlier this morning as a disaster in qualifying with contact with one of his rivals and unable to record a strong lap, he was faced with starting rear of field. Benny Simonson, younger brother of the late Alan Simonson, very, very talented GT3 driver. His younger brother's just carded one of the biggest victories in his relatively young career. And very happy Duncan Tappy congratulates him. So too Kitasawa, who will also be on the podium thanks to a great drive by Adelie Fong. So championship is all equal. It's back to basics. 2 teams, 1 trophy and a maiden GT Asia Series Championship on offer here in Thailand tomorrow afternoon at 3:15. So lots of colour, lots of nervous drivers before the start. And we went into the action, and what a race it was. It had it all. The battles were there. There was contact. The DNFs. There was a lot of hope. There was a lot of commitment. And then there were the dramas. certainly that was one of them. The highlight of the year of the Clearwater Racing team. Just a lap out from the pit stop window opening. But still, they battled on. Laro Prente did a good job. Sean Fu, unfortunately, contact for the team boss, the Triple F team. There we have it. That was the class-leading GTM class car towards the end of this race, off the circuit at fairly high speed down at turn 4. So we head towards the podium and a very welcome victory. In fact, a 1-3 finish for the Absolute Racing Bentley Continental team. Their first full year in the championship. We saw the first Bentley appear 12 months ago with Jean-Carl Vernet and Gilles Vanelay at Shanghai during the penultimate round of the season. And that was a nice result for them. They turned in very strong performance. And then this year they've been very quick since the opening round. It will be a welcome result for the Absolute team, certainly on their debut. The Bentley Continental has been one of the leading contenders right through the 2015 Blancpain Series in Europe, and certainly this season here in GT Asia. So a nice result for him. Nice result for them rather. The Absolute Racing Bentley Continental GT3 team, first and third in this race, and they go into the final round of the championship in a points battle with the Craft Bamboo number 99 Aston Martin Vantage of Daryl O. Young. So that is victory number 1. So the list of race winners in the 2015 season has grown to 7, with Duncan Tappy and Benny Simonson taking out the win for Bentley. That is their third win of the season. Of course, Kitasawa and Adley Fong have taken victory twice already this year, both times in Japan in front of Kitasawa's home fans. But 3 wins this year. The winningest driver, if you like, in the 2015 GT Asia Series is equal points leader Daryl O. Young, assisted very ably in the early parts of this season by young Australian Jonathan Venter. Young Johnny had really stamped his name as a driver of the future. Unfortunately, in an effort to be ready for the heat and the endurance of the first ever 3-hour endurance race at Sepang earlier in the year, he fell off his bike just a few days out and broke his hip, so he had to be replaced. The replacement was another young academy driver, and that of course was young Englishman Daniel Lloyd, thrown into the hot seat with the championship points leader. And his first race he finished on the podium, and the young Englishman, this is the first race he has not been on the podium, but to bring the car from Rearfield up to position number 4 and keep Daryl O. Young in this championship was another meteoric drive. The young man has done a great job, and as we say, in his 4 starts, the worst he has finished is 4th. He has 2 victories already to his name in season 2015, despite starting very late in this season. Nice crowd here in Thailand. They've been very supportive, of course, of their local drivers. Piti Bharakdi has brought a fair entourage with him across from Bangkok. The Singer team, you see the TP12 team flag flying proudly there. Temperatures this weekend haven't been too bad so far. It's certainly had a reputation, Thailand, for the high temperatures and high humidity, but it's been a very nice Saturday to provide these teams with a fairly comfortable opening round here at Buriram International Circuit. So not too far away from the podium presentation. You'll be presented with the winners of the GT3 and GTM classes for the 10th round of the 2015 season. So a nice result, as we see. That's the 77 car. Earlier this season, it was campaigned by Jackie Young. Tiger Jackie, of course, is the reigning GTM class champion, or at least he was the reigning GTM class champion. He's just been replaced by Jerry Wang, another of the Absolute Racing Audi drivers. His maiden season in GT Asia Series this year, and he has been crowned the champion. But we'll go down to the podium presentation very shortly. And there we have it. Hiroshi Hamaguchi and Alvaro Parente left of screen, second place. Duncan Tappy and Benny Simonson celebrating on the top step of the podium. And they've brought themselves back into this championship, right of screen. Natalie Fong on the left, Kita Sawa on the right. So a nice result for them to take a strong run into the final round of the championship. So been a very welcome event here at Buriram International Circuit. Thailand has really turned on the weather, it's turned on the crowd, and certainly it's a lovely part of the world to come for any kind of event. But certainly the final round of the 2015 championship, maiden event in Thailand, maiden event here certainly at Buriram International Circuit, has been warmly received by all of the competitors. So we fully expect that season 2016, the calendar will be released in the next couple of days. Again, you'll see it on the new GT Asia Series website. We fully expect to see another round here at Buriram for next season. Nice result for young Benny Simonson. He looks, well, both exhausted and very happy with his result. So good job by them, good job by the Absolute Bentley team, and certainly a nice result too for the Triple F racing team. On the podium again, of course, Hiroshi Hamaguchi was a winner earlier this year, third round of the championship alongside Tonio Luzzi, who unfortunately for the team is absent this weekend. But hey, replacing an ex-Formula One driver with one of the drivers that was tasked with the development of the McLaren 650S GT3 isn't a bad sub. So Hiroshi Hamaguchi is back on the podium. Fortunately, not quite the pace the McLaren team wanted this weekend. They said the weather and the heat was certainly likely to affect them during the race. But for the twin-turbo 4-litre V8 powered Bentley Continental, no such problem. And for Duncan Tappy, he will be hoping that this is another opportunity to further his career, and for the young Englishman who has driven in the Blancpain Series as part of the Bentley factory team, certainly a nice result. And he just drove away from the field in the opening stanza of this race, handed the car across to young Benny Simonson, and young Benny did exactly the same thing to record a very comfortable 10-second win. So nice job to them. Next up, we will see the GTM class podium, and we will at some stage this weekend no doubt be presented with Jerry Wang, the new champion. But for Jerry, he ran a fairly conservative race. In fact, you would have seen a number of occasions during the race the number 23 Audi R8 running very wide, allowing his rivals plenty of space to get through. Didn't want to get himself involved in too many dramas. We did see him off the circuit at one stage, which was quite unusual, but he's managed to carry through, finished in 5th place in class, and that certainly gave him the points to claim the 2015 championship. Dadali, Sashi Cooney there on left of screen, but of course the winners, Benjamin Rouget on the right of screen on the top step, and Buriram Bhakti, James Kay and Kenneth Lim. James Kay just on left of screen, Kenneth Lim there on the right of screen. They were winners last time out in Shanghai, back on the podium. Malaysian-Chinese pairing, working their way up in the world in the Ferrari 458 Challenge car. Dylan Dadali's just recently been crowned for the 2nd time as the Belgian GT champion. He's done a good job. Unfortunately, he was involved with that contact with Daryl O'Young during qualifying earlier in the day. Hisashi Cooney will finish 2nd in this championship. Yeah, that's a popular result. Buriram Bhakti, very happy with that result. Has been very strong in past years, has come back to motor racing this year after an absence of some 12 years. So Piti Buriram Bhakti's brother, he did a great job, and he's going to take away the GTM class win. Benjamin Rouget on right of screen. Two very experienced campaigners in this part of the world, certainly in the Thailand Super Series. This is Buriram Bhakti's 4th race back in since a 12-year sabbatical. And to take victory in the hotly contested GTM class in GT Asia Series is a good result for him. And as you heard from the crowd, well received by his fans. So that's it for round 10 of the GT Asia Series from Buriram International Circuit in Thailand. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon. The final race of the 2015 season, 3:15 p.m. You'll watch it on live stream, gtasiaseries.com. Also other details on Facebook. We will talk to you tomorrow, where we will see this championship play out for another year.